not only the local community, but our global community. This morning we heard from James McCocus. We could say providing for us a deep vision of ancient technology. And this afternoon, I'm super happy that we have someone who is providing us a vision of cutting-edge business technology. So we have, I'm not sure actually which student is, oh, it's Annika. Annika will introduce another student from our class, Dennis Cuku.
Hi, I'm Annika, and like Raj said, I'm a student with Making Use of the Land, and I'm so thankful to be with you all here today and have the chance to share our stories and our love for the land, and maybe more importantly to talk about a vision for the future that celebrates our connection with it and not viewing it as a separate entity from ourselves. So I'm honored to be here today to introduce Dennis Cuku from Edmonton. Dennis is currently living in his van by the river, he tells me. And Dennis operates on the principle that capitalism does not have to occur at the cost of human happiness or health or environmental sustainability, and he's put that into practice in his work as a mechanical engineer, as an entrepreneur, and as the president of Oil Country Engineering. Dennis is the co-founder of the Mosaic family of companies, which is a social knowledge collective that helps businesses to develop models which encourage social change. And this collective has just finished their building the Mosaic Center in Edmonton this past May, which is the first net zero energy collective commercial office building in Alberta. So Dennis is combining these two often opposing worlds in ways that are surprising and inspiring. So I ask you to please join me in welcoming him here today.
Thanks for that introduction. Yeah, I am the paradox, I guess, in a lot of ways. So using oil and gas profits for good. It can't happen. So yeah, good afternoon, and thanks everybody for coming. It's been a pretty great day and some pretty amazing conversations, at least at my table so far today. Originally when Raj asked me to speak at this conference, I wasn't really sure how my message was going to align or be, synonymous with healing the land, but as I thought about it a little bit more, I accepted. And greening up oil country, like, how do you even really do that? I don't know if my message was actually what you guys seem to be hearing today. So I think in preparing the slide deck for today and just hearing what's going on at this event, I think it'll very much be on par. I do acknowledge that I am sort of an anomaly. This isn't a representation of what's going on with most of the rest of the industry. I am maybe not the best representation of it, but I'll give you an example of what is possible in oil country. So I'm going to make you a promise for the next 45 minutes. I'm going to tell you my story. I'm going to tell you a story about, I guess, oil country and the Mosaic Center and how all these different, how all these different things came to be, and sort of form my ideology or the way I view the oil and gas sector in Alberta. Hopefully I can leave you with a little nugget on how we can heal Mother Earth, because that's what we're here to talk about. So this is me. I also, when you start a presentation and a stranger gets up on stage, they don't know most of you, it's a good thing to introduce yourself. At least as you guys know where I'm coming from, what kind of crazy ideas I'm bringing into my work. So my professional label is engineer, I guess, if you want to call it that. But if I'm honest, I'm not that good of an engineer, which is why the staff don't let me do that much more anymore. What truly gets me fired up is doing things that I've never done before, making change, being a change agent, if that's possible for a label, and finding a better way to do things. My real jet fuel is, I guess, inspiring others to do so, so getting up on stage and flapping my lips. Hopefully somebody grabs a nugget out of my story and potentially wants to do something with that themselves. So I don't have any religious affiliations. But I do consider myself a spiritual person. It's good to get out on the table, because there'll be some weavings of that. And I don't have any political affiliations, especially given what we just came through as a province, so it's good to get out there. I actually don't even vote. If you got a problem with that, you can come talk to me later. So I definitely don't have any of that in there. But if they give me something that I think is going to be changed, I'll vote for it. So anyway, so this is me. This is a cross-section of who Dennis is. And not unlike most of you, or people you know, this is me. I'm an Alberta boy. Nothing fancy about me. I'm same as people you work with or study with every day. Born and bred, and I really do love my city, Edmonton, and I love my province. So when I finished my education, I decided to stick around and do my work here. I grew up with very traditional Western values. This was me riding an ATV without a helmet, like most of you probably did too if you're born in the 70s. So yeah, I love Saturday cartoons. I drew all the time. I explored nature, so pretty boilerplate 10-year-old boy. As got out of high school at Cold Lake, when I realized I was free to go, I moved into the city to go to the U of A. And I guess I quickly came to realize what my place in the world was going to be. So trained as an engineer, I think 1999. I was immediately thrust out into the abundance of Alberta. So here I am, I'm out and I get my jobs and I go from, I went from a small family-run manufacturing facility and I went to a big public multinational juggernaut where I was literally employee number 1 million something, I don't even really know. And then I went to oil and gas manufacturing group that built drilling rigs, and I got the full gamut. That company ended up getting bought out by a public company, and that's the time I decided it might be time for me to move on. But in that journey, there was one common denominator: nobody wanted to be there. For the most part, maybe the 1 out of 10, the anomaly, they were actually really happy to be at work. I'm like, all right. As a manager, I was thrust right into people were bringing their problems to me. There was, drug abuse, alcoholism, infidelity, you name it. People were sick and just miserable. The office was actually one of the worst places to go and self-actualize as a human being. I'm like, all right, this is cool. So we're going to spend a third of our life here. It's like you get yourself all fired up at night. You have a breakfast, you meditate in the morning, you go to work, and it just sucks the life out of you. Like this can't be it. I'm not going to spend the next 40 or 50 years of my life doing this. This sucks. I realized too, around that time, that I had drunk the snake oil. And I realized it because I was, I guess, right in the midst of an MBA program, or going into an MBA program. At the end of it, they were dangling this vice president position, and everything looked good. This is what everything in my scripting said success was. Go Dennis, high five along the way. So in a lot of ways, I was seduced, I was bamboozled by the riches and the promises of what was waiting at the back end. But I pushed through to this. So I had my moment. These are my kids. I had 2 at the time. I'm like, really? That's how profound of a moment it was. So I had a wake-up call. It was like a gift in a little black box. You know how sometimes life gives you those pretty ones and the fancy wrapping paper and the joy for everybody, but life also gives you gifts in these little black boxes, and this was mine. So around this time, I think my son was 2 or 3 and daughter was 5. My family life, my home life was rubbish. My priorities, I'd lost myself. I think that's the best way to put it. So I wasn't working on the right things. I was taking projects out of town. Being at home was just as much stress, or more stress, compounding the stress of my supposed successful career. So I had the moment. It was the first time that I had actually taken some time to do some self-reflection. Like, why am I doing this? So in this game, I decided that if everybody around me is miserable, and this is my job, and I'm going to have to do this for the next 40 years of my life, and I want to spend more time with my family, that's not working out good. Well, maybe I should just go do this myself. If I'm an engineer, why the heck can't I engineer my life? So I really took it by the ears, and I went into my garage in Devon. This is me in 2007. And my dream was to create a place where people could come to work and self-actualize. They could come and be a human being. I didn't know what that looked like because I'd never experienced it myself. There's all these fancy books out there, but didn't really feel like it was something that I wanted to put into practice. So I essentially went out and tried to figure it out myself. So Christy, my then partner, I'm not married anymore, but Christy and I went out and we created this in the garage. So I guess moving on from there, Christy was in healthcare, so she was a pharmacist, so she was experiencing a lot of the same thing. It's not like one of us had this sort of oasis of awesome experiences to say, oh no, it's okay, it's just you. It was everywhere, it was pervasive in everything we were doing. So decided on to die to soul death, and away we go. And this is what I started to do. This is the part some of you are like, what? So make your judgments. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's usually about the time people start judging. And people kind of start looking at their program and saying, wait a minute, I thought this was about sustainability or helping the planet. But this is what I decided to do. I was trained to design drilling rigs. I didn't know anything else. But I guess from here, how do you get from designing these Mother Nature devastating machines, these machines that drill a hole in the ear of sacred locations like we heard about a couple hours ago. This is what it turned out being. I saw lemonade. Everybody was saying, oh, here's some lemons. You're trained as a drilling engineer, but it wasn't really resonating with my unique ethos. But who here, by show of hands, who walked here today? This is pretty good. You guys have cameras, obviously. Or if you watch on YouTube, bravo. Who here had their food delivered at lunchtime by foot? And that came in a truck. Who here's garments were hand-woven by somebody that lives down the street? That's the reality. We can't just flick the switch on fossil fuels. So I said, all right, we need fossil fuels, let's do this. Somebody has to do it. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to create one of these. I'm going to create a Trojan horse. Does everybody know what the Trojan horse analogy is? So it's a really cool story about the city of Troy and how it was invaded by it was the Greeks, I think it was. But anyway, the subterfuge is what they call it. The Greeks put this outside the city of Troy, and they put a couple of them inside of it. And then at nighttime, they brought it in. They thought, oh, this is a gift. The Greeks are surrendering. So they bring it in. Everybody goes to sleep. They probably party pretty hard. Everybody's hungover, and a couple of guys jump out of the back end of this horse. They open up the gates. The Greek army faked the sail away on the ocean. They come back under the cloak of darkness, invade Troy, and then the war is over. So what the heck? Like waiting for that story, Dennis. Well, we always envisioned oil country engineering. Yes, oil country engineering is a Trojan horse. They said, well, we got this is the operating parameter, the operating system we have to work with. And let's build something inside of it that may look like everything else, but we'll basically siphon out everything that we can and do really cool things with it, whether it's innovative projects or whatnot. And this was the cornerstone for it. It was mentioned in the intro. But capitalism need not come at the expense of human values, the environment, or any kind of sustainability. I personally believe capitalism is on its last legs. We don't need more stuff. We're running out of things to build stuff with, so I don't really know how that operating system is going to work much longer. But it's what we got. It was out of my sphere of, it was out of my control. I couldn't go in and say, yeah, capitalism's not working anymore, can I get something else? What I had to do is say, all right, I can't change that, but I can change the way I operate inside of it. Cue the Trojan horse. This was kind of the start of it. I built this house. I was fortuitous enough, if that's the right word, when I was in my mid-30s to be able to build my dream house. So just like anybody else would go to the home builder, I walked in, knock, hey, I would like to build a house. All right, home builder, she can do a little sketching and show me a few options. And there was one sentence I said in that meeting that changed my life, really, changed a lot of lives around me. I said, hey, so what do I got to do to make this thing use a little bit less natural gas, a little less electricity? So I went on this, like the rabbit hole opened up, and in I go, and I started learning about sustainable construction. And I had no idea. Not unlike most of you had any idea what the gentleman this morning were talking about. So I really started to learn what I didn't know, because you don't know what you don't know. So this ended up being a net zero house. We converged on that. We started just wanting to make it a little bit greener, and realized that we had the means and the end to go the distance. I started realizing, there's so many people out there that if you have the means and the end to make a difference or do something like this, but you choose not to, it's almost like it's negligence. So once I knew, I couldn't go back. So I was like, this is some other pictures I threw in here. Another thing that I learned from building that house is that beauty was really important. We don't surround ourselves with enough beauty. If you look at a lot of these boxes that we live in, we eat in, we pick a function, like they're really taxing on community. They're stressful, and they're not natural environment for us. So I said beauty was really important. So this is a picture of one of the bedrooms in there. And then sustainable too. This is a picture of my daughter in between the walls. So it's a double wall, I think 16 inches outside. So I like this picture because it just kind of shows you how much insulation was required. So it cost me a little bit more to build the house, but essentially I required no electricity, no supplementary fossil fuels whatsoever. So there's no gas line to the house. And here's what's in the backyard. These are the solar arrays. So it's about a 16 kilowatt system. So yeah, I was forever broken. I couldn't go back. 2012, fast forward a little bit here. This is Christy and I. We're at one of our staff retreats, and as a group, we collectively decided, like, yeah, we're going to grow. It's going to be part of our strategic plan. Let's do this. 2012 was kind of on the back end of the last goofy thing. Like, hey, things were rebounding, and oil and gas feels good. Let's go for it. So, first thing we did was. I think at the time we just acquired Ecoamo and we'd formed the Mosaic family. And what that is, essentially the Mosaic family company is it's the employee share option plan. So it's the company that we created around everything that we had going on so that the employees could own the company. It's really hard to do that unless you're a lawyer in here, and that's a really challenging thing to do. So yeah, we decided to grow. So first thing I did, just like when I built the house, I go out and I start knocking on doors and I look at, this is a box in Edmonton. I looked at the inventory that was in Edmonton, and actually, I grayed it out to prevent the innocent here, because what's being put on the market right now, it's awful. It's not designed for human beings to actually be healthy inside. They move as little amount of air as you can, and they provide as little amount of sun, because windows are expensive, little amount of sunshine you can, and they build it as cheaply as they can so they can sell it to a potential tenant, and then it's your problem. You manage your own electricity, your own op costs, that's all you, and he takes the profits and he goes away. So that's how that part of the system is broken. So I learned that. And I went, Christine, I couldn't buy one of these spaces. There was nothing out there that I wanted to put the people that I was trying to serve inside of. So we decided to do it ourselves, but in doing it, we said, well, what are we really trying to build? What is it that doesn't align with what's out on the market and what's inside of our hearts? So I believe these are almost like given core values for humanity: sustainability, health, and beauty. You can't have a building that people are going to want to work in or enjoy if it's not beautiful. And if it's healthy, especially if it's workers, they're not going to, if it's unhealthy, they're not going to be very productive, they're going to get unhappy, they're going to want to go work somewhere else, that natural stressful environment I was talking about. And then sustainable. I think that's just something we all got to be doing. It's a given. The other things that we added in there is like pragmatic's a good example. Mother Nature will always self-organize itself to use the least amount of energy. Why don't we? We do all these crazy things and it's expending so much energy, right? So let's make it pragmatic. Let's do what Mother Nature does all the time. And then I wanted teamwork and legacy. I wanted a project or a building where I wasn't going to want to, the same reason I left my previous career, I didn't want to get into litigation. I want to have friends at the end of the project, because that's what we do in our businesses. Oh, and then they need to be net zero, so powered completely by the sun. And I don't know if you guys know what LEED is, but it's basically a building certification. There was no other LEED Platinum, which is the highest standard in Edmonton. We wanted that because it would hold the team accountable. So we said, this is what we would really want. There's nothing like that on the market. And this is kind of what it's, I know natural gas line, obviously, if it's completely powered by the sun. But this is what come out of it. The traditional way of doing things just isn't going to cut it anymore. We know that there's a better way to do it, and we want to bring that better way to our market. To give the city this type of a project to help demonstrate that this is something that this city can do, and to do it in a northern climate is really exciting to me.
You found that you spent half of your waking hours doing something that you're miserable with. And we really believed the business could be done a better way, and we essentially just stepped out to try to prove that. Our purpose as the Mosaic family is to create role model organizations that enable positive social change through business. business visionaries and leaders at this point in history have an incredible opportunity to rethink status quo and rethink that looks like creating places where, as individuals, we can all bring our whole selves to work.
They walk through an atrium that has green spaces in it. It's a wood structure. It's got life to it. How can that not make the occupants of the building that much happier, that much more alive?
We know that we can build this building in a way that is going to be aesthetically pleasing, in line with a budget for a standard building, and to be completely environmentally sustainable. When there's inspired, happy people buzzing around, going about their day, when I know that we've inspired others to make change, that is when I know that we've achieved what we set out to achieve.
So that was a little ditty we put together. That was the intro to the documentary. We had I don't like this part of it. We had a film crew follow us around while we built it. Could have done without that. But the Mosaic Center is built. So in doing it, we made this little movie and it was really cool. And so I went out to the construction community and said, I want something that's completely powered by the fusion reactor in the sky. Excuse me. I went to architects, I went to contractors, I went to people that I wanted to build this, and they thought I'd all been smoking some of that. So I couldn't really rally the troops. But it was only when I connected to the legacy piece, I said, we got a real opportunity, like Christy said in the movie, to make something different for the city. Like, different, yeah, I'm up for that challenge. And it really brought to light for me that, we hear about it, we just kind of want to mail it in and just make profits, but there are people that really want to make a difference. They just don't know how. It needs some leadership. So this was a project that would offer up some leadership for Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. There isn't really anything like this in the country, I don't think. I think that's beyond past. But yeah, when I went to the architect's office, he said, no, you're crazy. You can't do that here. You'll go broke. People will sue you. Just don't even worry about it. And then one of my buddies, I went up to him and he goes, are you crazy? He goes, here, spread your legs. I said, excuse me? He goes, spread your legs. I'll kick you right in the junk. And then it'll be the exact same feeling that you'll have at the end of the project. Okay. So needless to say, I persevered through that. Everybody told me that it shouldn't be done, so we moved on. So some of you, if you haven't heard of the project, you're probably wondering what the hell this Mosaic Center thing is. So I usually tell people that it's like a physical building, it's a 30,000 square foot office, but it's a lot more than that. It's all of those core values I was talking to you about before wrapped up into a physical space. And both the speakers this morning were talking about the importance of space, the importance of belonging to something, and that's really what we're trying to create. This is a pretty cross section of the building. It's a 5-level split. On the east side of the building, we have office, co-working space, and downstairs is a child care center. The kids in the building were really important to us. As adults, we take ourselves way too seriously. So having kids myself, I know that when I'm around my children and they're not killing each other, it brings peace to me. So we wanted the kids, and especially under the office space. We had some of the people come in that were renting some of the co-working space, which is basically it's a shared desk scenario. So on the middle floor here, if you come and you rent a desk and hang out, it's a community within inside the building. I'm like, so what's to do with the kids? Oh, so if I have kids, I can kind of bring them to work. I said, well, that's part of it, but that's actually secondary. There's something about having that youthful wisdom inside the building that we're all going to plug into. The kids the other day, they were trick-or-treating in the atrium, and it shut everything down. And a lot of business owners are like, hey, get back to work, what are you doing? But when everybody came out of that lunch break where they were trick-or-treating in the building, the vibe was amazing inside the building. So the kids are like little batteries for us. What else we got here? Yeah, so we put some gardens. The gardens are going to go in soon on the roof. The roof is completely covered in solar panels. And then we have everything shared. So if you're wondering how we were able to pull this off, we have all these office buildings here, or office spaces. But normally when you build an office, there's a tremendous amount of waste. There's wasted space developed, there's wasted technology. You don't need all of that. So we just said, well, if I reverse engineered it and said, well, what if we all share the boardrooms? What if we all share the kitchen? For some reason in Alberta, we think we need our own toilet, like our own bathroom. Like if we all work together and they were across the hall, like we need our own toilet. You guys have a toilet. So I said, no, we'll all share washrooms, we'll all share a kitchen, and force that community. inside the building. So that's what happened over here. Everybody's actually got to walk through this atrium, past this 300 square feet of green wall, and interact with each other. What a novel idea is humans actually connecting with each other in an office building. So that's kind of the philosophy of it. So you see this collision space. The insurance company doesn't like it when I call it a collision space. I call it something else because that sounds like we're going to have to pay some money. Here's what it looks like from the outside. So it is quite attractive, and again, going back to the beauty piece of it, we didn't feel that we were going to be able to create a community building if it didn't look like something that was unique, something that people want to be inside of. A lot of glass, a lot of transparency. A lot of buildings, even when you're driving home, if you look around, there's not a lot of that transparency. It's like how our culture is. Like, don't look inside, don't look at me. You know, we say, you know what, we want to show everybody what we're all about. I think more people need to be like that. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit vulnerable. If we were all just a little bit more vulnerable, we'd be able to share our stories, like I am today. I mean, you're really vulnerable in a minute. So yeah, it's first of its kind. Nobody ever tried anything. I got enough people rallied together, and away we go. And it wasn't just innovation in the construction and the technology. That was actually really the easy part. The hardest part was getting the banks on board. So you got something that's powered by the sun, never been done before. You got LEED Platinum, never done before. You're going to do it on a conventional budget, and you're doing this privately funded. The banks, I actually had a real hard time getting funded. But I didn't think that was going to be a problem because it was my rookie project, and I was literally out of money. Chrissy and I were broke. And we were in the ground. They spent everything. We were in for a lot. And out of the nowhere, I call him an angel, Peter from BDC comes along and he says, I like it, you're doing something different. So this is what I had to show him. And if you have any kind of business background, or some of the students are dovetailing this into their life going forward, this is why I did it, but you can tell why I'm not an engineer because I call it goat math. But this is what I told the banker. So I did this little presentation. I said, look man, when we build this building together, this is what's actually going to happen inside of it. I said, how much happier would you be, let's say you're managing people, how much happier would your people be if they were in this box? And this was actually the sister project. I toured this building in Seattle and it blew my mind. I mean, this is what I want to build. Or, so how much happier would your people be if they were in here or in this box? I was like, well, what do you mean? I said, literally, how much more money would you make? How much more profitable? Because you're asking me about money. I'm not really concerned about that, but let's talk in your language. He goes, I don't know. So I provided the research, and I said on average it's between 10 and 25%. Pick your research. So what if we go right in the middle? I said, no, let's not go out in the middle. Give me 1%. If my employees, my people, are just 1% more productive, that's what it is. I had 130 people in the building. I had about 150,000 employees. That was $195,000 per year. It's like, okay, now you're talking my language. That number right there is about a third of the equivalent mortgage value for that building. It's like, okay, continue. I said, but there's one more thing. I said, how much less turnover? At the time, turnover was a really big thing. If you run a company that's got knowledge workers in it, about 3 or 4 years ago, you were being interviewed. There was a scarcity of people that actually were, knowledge workers in this province. So how much less employee turnover would you have if you manage people that work in this box? That's the bullet center, same building finished out, or this box. He was like, what do you mean? I said, you're going to have, if you got people in this box, how much, just be honest with me, Peter. And he goes, yeah, I see your point. People are not going to want to work in that box. I'm like, this is actually an office in Edmonton, by the way. So he goes, okay. We got a deal. So I was able to innovate or break the mold on a conventional cap rate budget for a building. Because I was able to factor in something that had never been done before. The intangible of human happiness and the net product, the net effect it would have on the bottom line for a building or for an office. What a novel idea, right? So that's what the number is. So I added it all up. I said in 5 years, if I take the lowest of the lowest of the lowest, it's about $1.5 million of additional revenue to this company. So people, you know when you go to the bank, have you ever had a mortgage before? Like, this is how I knew money wasn't real. So I'm off the rails a little bit here. But he goes, yeah, we signed everything. And he hits the enter key. And $9 million appeared. Like, where do you get that keyboard? I need one of those keyboards. So yeah, anyway, so we had a few chats later, and that's about the time I really started to understand that money isn't really real. Anyway, so now I have the money, and I had the design and everybody's happy. Another part of it was I showed the word teamwork. I really wanted the project to have that family feel, because the only way that people were going to be able to do something, I guess, on budget, on schedule, was if they felt like it was theirs. So we were really, really conscious in how we picked our team. We interviewed everybody before we even started designing. We said, "Hey, plumber man, yeah, why do you want to work on this project?" Honestly, I don't know. Like, you're out. "Hey, plumber man, why do you want to do this project?" "Wow, this is pretty cool. Nobody's ever done this before. It sounds like something I really want to work on." So I said, "If the project goes off the rails and we're not there, what are you going to do?" He's like, "I will find a way." So he looked around. He's like, "Who am I going to war with?" Like, he looked at the sheet metal guy and the earthworks guy. Like, "I know these guys." So we started asking them who they'd want to go to war with. So basically, we handpicked our family of the people that we knew were going to cooperate with each other and the people that really wanted to do this project. We asked them if they actually, I guess loosely put, cared about the environment. What were their core values? Were they going to try to compromise the core values, like I showed you, of the project, at the expense of making some more money? So that's what happened. They had actually shown me what the profit margin was too. They'd never done that before. So this was my fancy success recipe. These are the three people that come to the table when, like the holy trinity of construction. We just created a team. It wasn't me hiring one person who hired another person. We talked. It was such a crazy thing, hey? So every Tuesday, we sat down for about 2.5 hours before we constructed the building, and I communicated them the vision and what I wanted, and we got to be friends. And as soon as we became friends, I just said, you guys go build the building. You guys have an idea, have at it. So we built the building in 11 months, which was 7 months ahead of the original banker schedule and about 5 months ahead of our revised schedule. So if you've ever built something ahead of schedule, there's two things that come out of it. One, you get the burn rate of cash on a project goes into your jeans, so the team, but you have to lease it out a lot quicker. So that was a big problem. So we're still getting some tenants into the building. So yeah, we created this tri-party team agreement. We were all equals, and if they went over budget, then I got to take their profits out to pay for the overage. I don't know how I got them to commit to that, but that's So, for all of you that I guess are going out into work, there's quite a few young faces here. At the end of the day, there's one thing that you can boil every project, every experience down on the face of the earth, even with AI. It's this. Oh, I got all cross-threaded. Projects equal people. At any project you do, whether it was putting this conference on or trying to fix the AV, from over lunchtime because I got all cross-threaded. Those are people. We had to create our own little sort of who's going to do what. We had to come together to overcome or persevere. That's all it is. So if you understand people's core motivating needs and behaviors, then you can engineer highly successful teams. That's usually not talked about in management circles. I love this picture. So it was Halloween last year, and I drove up to this. I hate clowns, especially freaky ass clowns like this. So it's like, this is the cladding guy. He was screwing wood on the side of the building. You can see him. And he was kind of one of those unique individuals. But this kind of gives you an idea of what safety we had on site. This was about 8 months into the project. I mean, people dressing up for Halloween on a construction site. So why did that happen? I think about that. That would never happen on, like, there's some guys I'm guessing on construction, like, holy crap, like, what was in the brownies, right? But what it come down to is there was safety. They were a team. They were a family. There was that sense of belonging to something greater. They were creating something amazing together. So they didn't really care if people were laughing at them, just no different than your brother would. This is Don Iverson, the mayor of Edmonton. So he came, we got the community involved around it too. So this was a little bit more strategic. I knew that getting the team motivated was going to be one issue, but I knew we were building a community building and I got the community involved. Well, why not, right? We're building a childcare center, there's a restaurant, there's a wellness studio in there. Why don't I get the community brought into it? So the city of Edmonton got behind the project before we'd even moved into it, and Don came and screwed on the last solar panel. I think I got some pictures in here just kind of show you what it is, because I've just been showing you the math behind it. So this is the roof. This is about 213,000 kilowatt hours of electricity a year, and that powers about 40 to 50 houses. This is just half of it. We even put it in the side of the building, in the facade. Actually, right next to us, if you don't know, there's photovoltaics in the facade of that building, so I ripped that off. It's really cool, it looks pretty neat. So instead of putting cladding behind the solar panels, you actually just use the solar panels as your facade material. It looks really neat. So yeah, it was everywhere. Put on the roof, on the face of the building. I wanted electric car charging stations, but not electric car charging stations powered by coal, which is where most of our electricity comes from. I think you guys are still mostly coal here. I wanted it powered off of the sun. So what we did is we put additional PV on the roof, so you can, if you drive to the Mosaic Center and you have an electric car, you fill up for free, you get free gas, and it's the sun. There's no fossil fuels. It's really not that expensive. I don't know people who do that. Picture the front desk area, the reception area. That front desk was made out of garbage, and the brick wall behind it was an old U of A building that they smashed down. So we were really conscious about decorating as much as we could with garbage. Why not? You can make garbage look beautiful. You can the 3 R's. I love this with the kids. I tour kids through the building from the school down the road, and I say, what are the 3 R's? Well, it's recycle, and like, what's the first R? Reuse. You always want to reuse first. Use extra stuff later. You recycle. You throw it and use more energy at the last one. So we reused as much as we could. Reclaimed it. There's a picture of the atrium. Some fancy lights in there. The office floor plate. Lots of natural light coming through. Happy people working inside the building. This picture of the green wall just looking down. So it just kind of gives you an idea that it is a really beautiful space. Some people sitting on the atrium. So how is it that I got to this point? This is me on the roof with these on the roof. How did I get to here from here? And this is the point of my talk. And this is actually what I think greening up oil country is all about. I think that greening up oil country, greening up our economy, our operating system has to do with self-work. And it's not all like what we heard this morning. So that's my beliefs too. The Mosaic Center, I wouldn't have been able to co-create that building or that organization if I would have done some personal healing. I showed that picture of my kids and you could tell how much emotional charge there was. That was a really profound part of my life. And I think that's where we're at as a civilization, especially in the West. We're so bamboozled here, we're so disconnected from each other. We got a phone in our back pocket, we don't really know what's going on. And this is what changed my life. Given what happened last night, I thought about taking this slide out, but I think it actually proves my point even more. This was a fairly dramatic day in my life, as most others. Initially, it was fairly dramatic in my life for the same reasons as yours. Like, are you kidding me? Is this really what's happening? There was part fear, there was just sadness, there was anger, there was just, what? This is not my human race. What I did was I externalized it like everybody else. Like, that happened there, that's those people, and then we started to get this sort of friction between, ethnicities. I started to see that happening. So I, along with all of you, most of you, got to witness steel melt for the first time by fire since physics was created. So I started looking at this like, what's really going on here? So I split the pillow. I chose not to fall along. And I did this. I cut my cable. It was a pretty dark time in my life, like I said. So I rejected. I canceled my newspaper subscription. I took and I put all of the magazines in the fireplace, and I went off all communication from the external world. Because I looked at what was happening here, and I looked at the ensuing fear. I went to work, and people like my brother and sister from me, are you still going to go on that trip to Mexico this year? I'm like, well, why wouldn't I be? And are you still going to do this, or what's going to happen here? And it's just the fear. Everybody was shutting down, and that's exactly what was wanting to happen. So this is me going inside. I mentioned how dark it was. It was like I said, it was a really profound and awful time in my life. But it was my black box. There was a gift inside there. So I really started to grapple with the way things were. But I learned about my own suffering. I, like most of you in this room, try to cover that suffering by staying busy. If I don't acknowledge it, then it doesn't exist, but I just bring myself further and further away from that disconnect. So I came to accept through this period of my life and recognize that we all suffer. You can't get away from that. That's part of the human condition. But the way to overcome that is to confront it. Hit it head on. Why am I feeling disconnected? Why am I feeling that angst or that suffering? Craving fame and wealth, which was my family of origin. When you're here and you have a boat in the driveway and you have this and that and that, boom, happiness has arrived. I was there at the age of 35 and I'm like, nope. was looking around and I phoned a few people like, hey, so where's this happiness thing? Are they on back order? Where's mine? This is really the crux of what I came to is that I wasn't seeing the world as it was, I was seeing the world as I was. So I started to unpack what my belief system was. Why do I believe things are the way they are? I started to look at the other textbooks of life, the things that we don't learn in school. We talked, I think somebody shared at my table, I don't know where that gentleman is, but he said, I'm 65 years old, and I had no idea that was the first people's experience. He goes, how can that be? And you could see just the dismay on his face, like he had been bamboozled. So the reason I get up on stage is to help people see that. But I started to realize what the real code of connectivity and how things work, partly through science, because that's what I was trained in, the scientific mind, but also looking at, we're all playing our own movies, but we all have the same screen. What is that screen? So I went here to find some truth. I went right into India. That's a crazy place. So I got tour right open, and I went Beatles style. I went to an ashram for about 6 or 7 weeks. How I got there was quite an interesting story. Ever since I was a kid, I had this visual in my head of taking the globe that was on my desk, and I had one of those little desk globes, spinning it and putting my finger on it and saying, I'm going there. Didn't matter where I was going to be. If it was in the middle of the ocean, I was just going to take a boat there and just see what was waiting for me. But I said, universe, source, that little voice inside my head, whatever you call it, take me here. So it took me to India. First, I really went to India. It's like, can I spin again? Like, no, stick with it. This is where you're supposed to go. And I got a tremendous culture shock. And I love this picture because I was in Bhutan actually when I had this picture. This Buddha statue was giving me like devil horns. If you've ever seen a rock concert, like how is this possible? I'm on the other side of the world. Anyway, that was a total miss, that one. But I got the culture shock, and I started to realize that you can't actually see your own culture for what it is unless you immerse yourself in another. We're in it, right? You don't really see it until you're on the outside, on the other side of the street. So then I took my kids with Christy to Costa Rica. This is a picture of me homeschooling the kids at the kitchen table. I started to reconnect with my family and just reconnect with what was important to me. I reconnected with, we were at a little ocean community. I reconnected with a lot of Mother Nature. I spent a lot of time watching the sunsets. And just being with the kids, teaching them was a real opportunity for me to pass on what I had just learned. And then this moment happened. This was a moment very similar to the Twin Towers getting attacked. I was sitting on the beach, and I took a picture of it, because we have a camera in our back pocket all the time now. I was sitting on the beach. We always went down to the beach to watch the sunset, unless there was something else going on. And I looked at it like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. Happiness has finally arrived. A little delayed, maybe went around the world a few extra times, but here we go. My arms around, our kids had their arms around each other and they were giggling. They were a little bit posed for a picture, but they kept their arms around each other and they were melting in the sunset. So here I am saying, this is it. So immediately I went into project mode and like, all right, I'm gonna live here. Okay, I'm gonna open a little surf shop here, and I'm gonna get these guys here, and I started talking to the locals. I'm like, what business can I open? Because I'm not going back to the West, that is rubbish. Just coming back from India and then going to Costa Rica. But I realized, in this moment, which happened 3 days later, that I was just trying to escape. That it wasn't at all actually happiness. It was a momentary glimpse into what's possible, but that possibility is with me all the time. So this is my little guy, I think he was 7. So we're sitting, we're having some fries at the little cantina there on the beach, and I was talking to the kids, like, what if we lived here? How cool would that be? We could surf every day, and like, yeah, it'd be pretty cool, Dad. And they were kind of originally sort of seduced by the idea, because I was selling it to them. And then Parker goes, but why, Dad? Like, everything's back home. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, this is it. Like, you're happy here, and the nature's amazing, and the people are so. Yeah, okay, I can see it. But I could feel that resistance. And he had this weird twinkle in his eye. I don't know if you can see it. But I said, Parker, stop. I'm going to take a picture of you. There's something about this moment. And I connected to that wisdom that the children have. And he basically downloaded to me in that minute that, Dad, you're running. And I knew that night, I went home and I said, yeah, you're running. I need to go back, and I don't need to retire right now. I need to go back and do the work where the work needs to be done. So that's how the mosaic said to came to be. So how do we green oil country? Well, I really wish I could give you the 11 herbs and spices, and we could just, how did Raj say this morning that there's a cake waiting to be baked? We just don't know what the ingredients are. The ingredients I have for you are sort of like rainbows and unicorns, and I guess maybe I need to apologize in advance for that. But we've imposed a system that's kind of, I guess for lack of a word, enslaved our civilization. We know it, we're feeling it. That's what the disconnect is. Mother Earth is saying, hey, guess what? What you're doing right now is not working. So what's happening on the planet is sort of an environmental representation of what's happening to us as people, especially here in the West. You know, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, there's increased inequality. We're no different than Earth, it's going to start to talk back. So here we are, people of the planet. Here's the planet. Oh, an equal sign. It's equal. The people equal the planet. You heard it this morning too. And you don't need the First Nations people to connect you to a story of wrongdoing and injustice. I was never taught that as a kid. I was taught about duality and like everything, all the problems are over there, everything's cool here. But we are surrounded. You can't actually exist on any other planet in outer space unless you take a small orb of your immediate environment with you. That should tell us as humans that we need our environment. Oh, my equal signs again. So I think my thought on moving or greening up oil country is we got to move beyond this idea that the environment, this concept of the environment, it's not separate from us. There's no such thing. If we abandon the discussion of the environment and how we green it up, and we focus on people, then I think we have a different conversation. You heard a little bit about that this morning, and I'm giving you, again, a sort of business backwards viewpoint on that. As a species, or what we've been trained, or what our culture believes, is that we need to change the goings-on the outside of us if we want to change that sort of malaise. And I don't think that's right view. You got fear, separation, like what happened inside me when I saw the Twin Towers go down. You know, greed, hate, anger, all those ugly things here in the West, especially scarcity. We don't think there's enough to go around. They all come from a place of wrong view, and that we're separate from Earth. So, I guess that dualistic approach. So if we want to heal the people, we got to heal the planet. If we want to heal the planet, we got to heal the people. There's no separation. And again, like I was saying before, my viewpoint, and I'm sharing it with you today, this may not be how you see the world, but there is no separation. Healing the people goes hand in hand with healing the planet. So I believe that it's not don't cut a tree, or don't disturb the caribou, or don't frack that well, don't drill in the ear. Those things just naturally happen if we're not disconnected. We'll take care of the earth. So when we realize the beauty and the wisdom of Mother Earth, we remember, we reconnect, and we fall in love with our species and ourselves again. So what I want to leave with you today is, I guess by way of my personal journey, got a little vulnerable at the back end there, so I'm going to try and pick it up again so nobody wants to leave. I believe we need a spiritual revolution in some way. I know that's a really hard pill for some people to take down. And I told Raj at the break too that I'm actually really excited. This is the first time I felt comfortable or safe enough to say that. Because I usually speak in front of construction groups or people that are putting solar panels on buildings, and it's not safe to say that. But the context of this conference allows me to do that. So I'm out there in my Trojan horse, essentially subtly suggesting a spiritual revolution, and when we do that, we heal the planet as well. So it's not economics, it's not politics, it's definitely not politics. What's going to happen when all the world leaders get together on the other side of the world is maybe a few fireworks, will be like some policy changes. But if you know anything about politics, there's things going on that are way stronger than that right now. There's something happening on the other side of the world that's going to allow corporations to sue governments if they put anything in place in the Paris talks. They're going to take away from their profits. What? Yeah, that's the world we're living in. How does that happen? Disconnect from truth. So, yeah, it's scary stuff. It is the reality of it. But the other part of that is faith and hope. I heard some people talking in the lobby about, I hope things come around, or I hope that this is going to happen, or I hope they figure out this terrorism. Well, what is hope? And how is hope different than faith? Hope's more based on a desire. I would really like that. Or I'm not really sure if that's going to happen, but I'm pretty pleased. You know, I'm gonna put some money underneath my pillow at night. But faith is a little bit different. Faith is based on knowing. So what I'm really encouraging people, what I'm leaving you with is, if you have faith that we're going to turn this around, greening oil country starts from within. Do the hard work. Why are we at such malaise? Why aren't we doing the things that we need to be doing? So we take a look around the room. These are your brothers and sisters. And we need to have faith in each other that we're going to figure it out. Thank you for listening.